As we are also getting more updates, while the preparations have started for the return of the hostages held by the Hamas in Gaza for 467 days, the Israel Defense Forces names the preparations as Operation Wings of Freedom. The preparations are currently underway in Jerusalem to convene the Security Cabinet, which consists of the senior ministers. While what we are also picking up is that the U.S. State Department Matthew Miller has issued a statement on the ceasefire deal, while saying that when it comes to the involvement of the President-elect Trump's team, it has been absolutely critical in getting the deal over the line. He also further thanked Donald Trump's team for working with them. Let's now listen in.
When it comes to the involvement of President-elect Trump's team, it has been absolutely critical in getting this deal over the line. And it's been critical because, obviously, as I stand here today, this administration's term in office will expire in 5 days. And one of the things that we have always said about this deal is that when you get from stage 1 to stage 2, that the United States, Egypt, and Qatar are the guarantors of this deal. And Egypt and Qatar will push Hamas to stay at the bargaining table and to get from stage 1 to stage 2, and the United States will push Israel to stay at the bargaining table to get from phase 1 and phase 2. So obviously those are promises we cannot make on behalf of the United States for any longer than the next 5 days. And so it's critical that all of the parties to the agreement and the other mediators see that when the United States is in the room making commitments, those are lasting commitments that extend beyond this administration into the next one. I will just say, lastly, I don't know if it's unprecedented to have envoys from an outgoing and an incoming administration sitting at the same table negotiating a ceasefire agreement of this kind. But if it's not unprecedented, it's certainly unusual. And we, of course, thank the Trump team for working with this on this ceasefire agreement. We think it's important that they were at the table. And I think it shows that when Americans are willing to work together across partisan lines, as we were willing to do on this occasion, because it's in the national interest of the United States, there's a lot that we can get done.
Well, all right, as in fact, the latest developments that we are picking up are coming at this point of time, which in fact also detail about the live updates that we are getting, where Palestinians in Gaza are also celebrating, viewers, as mediators have confirmed a ceasefire deal that has been reached between the Hamas and Israel after 15 months of war. Now, Shivdan Singh, Colonel retired, is joining me live on the broadcast. Thank you, sir, for speaking to us and giving us your time. A big truce has been finalized after a long wait of 15 months. What's coming up at this point of time is a lot of celebration for both the people stuck in Gaza and Israel, who have been waiting and have been the worst sufferers of this entire conflict.
Should I give my views?
Yes, sir.
You see, this ceasefire has been announced and it's a very happy news for the complete world, because this Middle East conflict was disturbing the peace of the complete world, because people were expecting that this might result in the world war. But thank God the peace has been achieved. But one thing I want to say, if we want to have a permanent peace in the Middle East, then mentality of the countries of Middle East, basically Islamic fundamentalist mentality, which they want to eliminate the Israel completely from the world map, should be part with. They should remove this mentality that Jews are not supposed to exist in Israel and Israel countries is not supposed to be there. Because since 1949, all the Middle East countries are attacking Israel to destroy Israel from the world map. So the peace is a temporary peace. I'm saying again, some Islamic fundamentalists will come up and will attack Israel. And basically, Iran is supporting this complete conflict. So, though it's a very happy news, but for permanent settlement, for permanent peace, this area, the mentality, Islamic fundamentalists, hardliners have to change their thinking and they have to accept the existence of Israel. And at the same time, the mass destruction has taken place in Gaza and Palestine, because though it was the atomic bomb was not used, but by the missiles and rockets which are fired by Israel in the retaliation have destroyed the complete sort of almost all the infrastructure in Gaza and Palestine. So it's a complete world should come together and should rebuild the Gaza and Palestine area.
Sir, Mr. Shivdan, how do you react to, in fact, the world reacting to this development? As you, in fact, you have very rightly pointed out that the mediator Qatar has announced and that Israel and Hamas have reached a truce, and that the war in Gaza and exchange of Israeli captives for Palestinian prisoners held in Israeli jails is also commenced. Qatar's Prime Minister Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdullah bin Jassim we have also announced the agreement in Doha, and he has said that ceasefire would take on 19th of January. Well, at this point of time, in fact, Joe Biden was seen taking the spotlight. He, while also making, in fact, an announcement of this, said fighting in Gaza will stop and soon the hostages return home to their families. How do you view the reaction by the outgoing President Joe Biden of the United States, given the war was at a very critical stage?
You see, Joe Biden, at the time of retirement, he wanted to take the credit. It was a lot of news were coming that Joe Biden is trying to settle a peace in this area, and he want to take the credit that he didn't want to give his credit to President Trump. So this is something which he wants to achieve this thing success, and he wants to take credit of this. But if America had strongly reacted earlier, then this ceasefire would have been much earlier than this time, and a lot of destruction would have been saved if these world powers like Israel, like America and Russia have actively taken this initiative to settle this dispute. Then this amount of destruction would not have taken place, and humanity would have been saved from this kind of mass destruction. It takes a lot of time to build this infrastructure, and now the complete Gaza is looking like a devastated area in which it looks like atomic bomb has been used, like in Japan in Second World War it was there. So it is a very sad story, and I would say that the world superpower should act in the time so that destruction is not there.
All right, Shivdan Singh, thank you for in fact giving us your time and also putting this in perspective correctly. Now, what we are also looking at